This story is titled, My Wife Said Plenty of Men Want Me, so I left and let them have her, but later she is calling and begging to reconcile. Hey everyone. Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. So I'm sitting here at 3 a.m. unable to sleep. Figured I might as well type this stuff out. Never thought I'd be sharing my personal crap on Reddit, but here we are. Maybe writing this will help me process everything that happened. Me, 32 male, and Emma, 30 female, were together since our early 20s. Met at my friend's house party. She was this gorgeous blonde who laughed at my stupid jokes. Honestly, couldn't believe she actually gave me her number. The first few years were great, staying up talking about random stuff, weekend trips wherever we could afford gas money to get to, inside jokes that made absolutely no sense to anyone else. Proposed after 3 years and had a small wedding at this lake spot. Nothing fancy, just people we actually cared about. Emma wore this simple dress that made her look incredible. First couple years of marriage were pretty good. We had this tiny apartment that always had something broken. Landlord was useless. Talked about maybe going to Italy someday, starting a family once we weren't broke all the time. I was building my landscaping business from nothing. Just me. A truck that broke down every other week, and some basic tools. Emma was actually really supportive back then. She'd help me figure out the accounting stuff, bring me lunch when I was working on bigger jobs, even help design some flyers and business cards. Even when I was completely exhausted from digging trenches and hauling rocks all day, I always tried to make time for her. Random date nights at places we could afford, little stuff I'd pick up when it reminded me of her, weekend trips to nearby spots. Nothing expensive, but I wanted her to know she mattered, you know? I can remember exactly when everything started changing. Emma's cousin Vanessa moved to our city for some job opportunity. Vanessa, 28 female, was basically Emma's opposite. Super loud, constantly partying, always posting these thirst trap photos on Instagram, and had this attitude like she was the main character in some TV show or something. Never had a boyfriend for more than a couple months, but always had guys buying her drinks and taking her to fancy restaurants. At first, I didn't really care that Emma was hanging out with her. Family's important, right? But then I started noticing these little changes. Emma started dressing different, more revealing stuff that she never wore before. Her Instagram started changing too. More posed photos, weird facial expressions, mysterious captions. She even started talking different around Vanessa, using slang I'd never heard her say before, laughing way louder than normal, just different. One night after they went out for girls' night, Emma came home a bit tipsy, and I overheard her still talking to Vanessa on the phone in the bathroom. I know, right? Did you see how many guys were checking me out? She was giggling like a teenager. No, Ryan doesn't mind. He's just happy I'm having fun. I pretended to be asleep when she came to bed. Maybe I should have said something then, but something told me to just watch what was happening for a while. Over the next couple months, Emma started being really weird with her phone. Changed her password, always putting it face down, taking calls in another room. When I'd ask who she was talking to, it was always just Vanessa or just work stuff. She was going out way more too. Girls' nights that would go till like 2 to 3 a.m. Weekend shopping trips with Vanessa, where she'd come back with hardly any actual shopping bags. I was starting to feel like I was living with a stranger. The Emma I married didn't care about getting attention from random guys or staying out all night. The Emma I married actually wanted to spend time with me, asked about my day, cared about what I was doing. This new Emma barely noticed if I was even home. I tried to fix things. One night, after another long workday, I picked up her favorite takeout and grabbed some flowers on the way home. Nothing fancy, just a simple gesture to remind her I was still here, still trying. But when I walked into the apartment, the place was empty. No note, no text, just silence. I set the food on the counter, sat at the table, and waited. An hour passed. Then 2. I checked her location. Out downtown again. Eventually, I gave up, ate alone, and put the flowers in the trash. When she finally came home, laughing at something on her phone, she barely even glanced at me. "Oh, you're still up?" she said, kicking off her heels. I wanted to ask if she even noticed I was trying, if she cared at all. But I already knew the answer. We stopped even having conversations. When we did talk, it was mostly her talking about her cousin's latest adventures or some work drama. She stopped asking about my business, even though I was finally starting to get some bigger clients. One day I landed this huge contract with this commercial office park. Biggest job I'd ever gotten. The kind that could really put my company on the map. When I told Emma, she barely looked up from her phone. That's nice, babe, she said, scrolling through Instagram. I'd been working my ass off for years to get to that point, and she couldn't even pretend to care for 5 seconds. One night, I was in the kitchen making coffee while Emma was getting ready to go out again. She walked in, dressed in something way flashier than what she used to wear. Tight red dress, heels high enough to make my ankles hurt just looking at them, gold hoop earrings that Vanessa probably picked out. I looked up from the sink and gave her a once-over. Damn, where's the fire? I joked, trying to keep it light. She did a little spin. Like it? She asked, grinning at herself in the fridge reflection more than at me. I mean, yeah, but you didn't used to dress up like this just for drinks with Vanessa. She shrugged, checking her phone. Maybe I'm just realizing I don't have to dress boring anymore. Vanessa says I should show off what I've got. I dried my hands and leaned against the counter. Vanessa says a lot of things. Emma smirked, locking her phone and slipping it into her tiny purse. Well, she's not wrong. You know, you're pretty lucky, Ryan. Plenty of guys wish to have a wife who looks like this. I was fucking confused. Who says that to their husband? I raised an eyebrow. Yeah? Good thing I married you before you figured that out, huh? She just laughed, but it wasn't her usual laugh. It was different, like she actually believed what she was saying. She walked over and said, "Don't wait up." I stood there for a long time after she left, staring at the door, feeling something I couldn't quite put my finger on. I started to pull back a little, not trying so hard, not rushing home early to see her, not suggesting date nights or bringing home little surprises. I wanted to see if she'd notice, if she'd start putting in some effort. She didn't. If anything, she seemed relieved that I wasn't bothering her as much. Her job at this marketing company was going well. She'd gotten a promotion, was making better money than me for a while. Started talking about all these work dinners and client events she had to go to. Always got super dressed up for these work things. Sometimes she'd come home with her makeup all messed up or her hair looking crazy. It's windy outside, she'd say. In the middle of summer. At midnight. I'm not stupid, but I kept telling myself I was being paranoid. That Emma wouldn't do that to me. That maybe this was just some weird phase she was going through. But deep down, I was starting to suspect the worst. One day I was fixing our kitchen sink when her phone buzzed on the counter, so I glanced over. It was a text from Vanessa. Delete your texts with David. R might see. Who the hell was David? I put the phone down, my heart racing. When Emma came, I tried to act normal, but watched as she grabbed her phone immediately, checked it, then typed something really quick. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just laid there next to her, feeling like I was sleeping next to someone I didn't even know anymore. That was just the beginning of the worst year of my life. After seeing that text, I started paying more attention to everything. Emma was going out like 3 to 4 nights a week at this point. Always had some excuse. Work event, girls' night, book club. She hadn't read a book in years. Whatever. I started keeping track of when she said she was working late and checking her location sometimes. Yeah, I know that's not great, but whatever. One night, she said she had a team-building dinner downtown. Her location showed her across town at this hotel. Could have been a legit work thing at a hotel conference room, right? That's what I kept telling myself anyway. I started talking to her less and less. Kinda shut down emotionally, I guess. I was working longer hours, taking on more jobs, basically trying to stay busy so I wouldn't have to come home and see her getting all dressed up to go somewhere that probably wasn't where she said she was going. My buddy Jake called me one night when I was at a job site finishing up. "Hey man, isn't Emma supposed to be at some work conference this weekend?" he asked, sounding weird. "Yeah, in Cincinnati. Why?" "'Cause I just saw her Instagram story. She's at that new rooftop bar downtown with Vanessa and some guys. Thought you should know." I checked her story and sure enough, there she was. Definitely not in Cincinnati. Definitely not at a work conference. I saved the video before she could delete it. When she came home Sunday night, she had all these stories about the conference, the speakers, the hotel, even brought me a stupid keychain as a souvenir. I just nodded and pretended to believe her. I felt sick to my stomach the whole time. I still didn't confront her though. I wanted actual proof of cheating, not just lying about where she was. I needed to see it with my own eyes so there'd be no doubt, no way for her to twist things around and make me think I was crazy for suspecting her. We'd been together almost 10 years at that point, and I wasn't about to blow everything up without being 100% certain. When I made my move, I wanted all my facts straight, so she couldn't bullshit her way out of it. Things kept getting worse. She'd come home smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. There were unexplained charges on our joint credit card for restaurants and bars on nights she claimed to be just at Vanessa's watching movies. She'd get texts at weird hours and take her phone into the bathroom to reply. Meanwhile, Vanessa was always there, encouraging everything. She'd post photos of them out at clubs, tagging a bunch of guys I didn't know. Sometimes she'd come over to our place to pick Emma up and would barely acknowledge me, like I was the roommate, not the husband. One time I overheard Vanessa telling Emma, "You only live once, girl. Why settle for boring when you could have exciting? These guys are practically begging for your attention." Emma giggled and said, "Ryan doesn't suspect anything. He's too busy with work." That hurt more than I can explain. Not just that she was clearly doing stuff behind my back, but that she thought I was too stupid to notice, and that she and Vanessa were laughing about it. I started to make a plan. Not to try to fix things. I was pretty sure we were beyond that point, but to protect myself for when everything inevitably blew up. I talked to a lawyer friend just to understand how divorce worked in our state. I started putting aside some money in a separate account. I documented the weird expenses, saved screenshots of her location not matching where she said she was, kept the Instagram stories that contradicted her lies. Then came the night that changed everything. Emma said she had to go to a storage unit we rented to get some winter clothes since the weather was getting colder. Said she'd be back in an hour. 3 hours later, still not home, not answering texts. I decided to drive to the storage place myself, partly to see if she was actually there, partly because I needed to get out of the house before I lost my mind. As I pulled up to the storage facility, I saw her car parked there, so she was actually where she said she'd be for once. I was about to turn around and go home when I saw her walking out. She wasn't alone. Some guy I'd never seen before was with her. Tall dude, fancy watch, expensive-looking jacket. They were laughing about something, standing really close to each other. Then he pulled her close and kissed her. Not a quick peck from a friend, but a full-on deep kiss that told me everything I needed to know. I felt like someone had just ripped my heart out through my throat. Part of me wanted to jump out and confront them, but something kept me frozen in my car. Emma got in her car, the guy got in his, and they drove off in different directions. When she came home about an hour later, she had some story about how the storage unit was a mess, and it took forever to find the winter clothes. She even had a box of winter stuff with her as proof. I let her talk, nodding occasionally, wondering how many times she'd lied to my face like this. "How was your night?" she asked, not really caring about the answer. "Fine," I said. "Just watched some TV." She didn't even notice how quiet I was being, just went to take a shower, probably to wash off any evidence of what she'd been doing, or who she'd been doing. I sat there on the couch, trying to figure out what to do next. I had my proof now. The question was, what was I going to do with it? I spent the whole night thinking about what to do. I barely slept, just laid there listening to her breathing, wondering how someone could lie so easily, day after day, to someone they supposedly loved. After that night, I knew 100% I was done. No question about it. Just looking at her made my stomach turn. I didn't need to think about it or weigh my options. I was out. First thing the next morning, I called a divorce lawyer. Same guy my friend used when his wife cheated. Made an appointment for that same week. Then I went straight to the bank and completely separated my finances. Moved my direct deposit to a new account she couldn't touch, took my name off our joint credit card, and withdrew exactly half of our savings to put in my new account. Left her half there, didn't want to screw her over financially, but wasn't about to let her spend my money on her boyfriends either. Every time she touched me or tried to act normal, I had to force myself not to physically recoil. The thought of her with those other guys made me feel physically sick. I'd look at her and just see this stranger wearing a familiar face. Someone I used to love who didn't exist anymore. But I played it cool. Didn't want her suspecting anything until I had everything lined up. Emma didn't suspect anything. She was too wrapped up in her own little world to notice I was making moves to leave. She kept going out, kept lying about where she was going, kept texting guys behind my back. I just let her do her thing while I prepared for the end. The next day, Vanessa showed up at our place unannounced. They were planning some weekend trip right in front of me, giggling about inside jokes. I heard Vanessa whisper, "Is Chris going to be there?" And Emma shushing her, looking over at me. Chris must be the guy from the storage unit. Or maybe another one. Who knows how many there were at this point? That night, Emma went out again. Said it was a work happy hour. I didn't bother asking questions anymore. Around 2 a.m., she stumbled in, clearly wasted. "Where have you been?" I asked from the couch where I'd been sitting in the dark. She jumped, surprised to see me still up. "Jesus, Ryan? You scared me. Just out with people from work, told you that." "That's weird, 'cause I called your office earlier about that health insurance paperwork we needed. Jen said there was no happy hour planned." Emma's face changed, that deer in headlights look before she recovered. "Different department, marketing team thing." I just sat there, staring at her. This woman who I'd spent nearly a decade with, who I thought I knew better than anyone in the world. All I felt was this weird sense of calm. like I was watching a movie of my life insteed of actually living it. I thought about the first time we met, how her laugh made me feel all nervous and excited at the same time. Our first apartment with that broken heater we couldn't afford to fix. The way she used to bring me coffee in bed on weekends. All these memories flashing through my mind like they were from another lifetime. And now this. This stranger telling me obvious lies. This person who meant nothing to me anymore. Something else you want to tell me, Emma? I asked quietly. What are you talking about? She was getting defensive now. I saw you. At the storage unit. With him. Her face went white. You were following me. Nope. Just needed to grab something myself and saw you by accident. Who is he? How long has this been going on? She started crying, but I could tell they weren't real tears. They were the manipulative kind, the ones designed to make me feel bad for catching her. It's not what you think, she sobbed. He's just a friend. You kiss all your friends like that? That's when her whole attitude changed. The tears stopped instantly. She stood up straighter, suddenly cold. Fine. Yes, I've been seeing other people. Several, actually. Vanessa helped me realize I've been wasting my youth tied down to one person. Do you know how many men would kill to be with me? I'm done living by your boring rules. She kept going, getting more cruel with each word. I've been seeing guys who make twice what you do. Guys who don't bore me to death. So yeah, I'm done living by your pathetic rules about marriage and commitment when I could be living my actual life. I just stood there, staring at her. This woman wearing my wife's face, saying these horrible things. In that moment, everything inside me went quiet. Does Vanessa tell you that? I asked quietly. That you're missing out? That men are lining up for you? Vanessa understands me. She knows what it's like to be desired, to have options. Something you clearly don't get. I felt hollow. Not even angry anymore. Just empty. Like someone had scooped out everything inside me that made me who I was. The rage, the betrayal, the heartbreak. It was all there, but distant somehow. Like it was happening to someone else. She was still talking. Something about how everyone cheats, and how brave she was for going after what she wanted. The absolute crap of it all was almost funny. Whatever! She rolled her eyes when I didn't respond. What are you going to do? Divorce me? Go ahead. Like I said, I'll have a new man tomorrow. I looked at her for a long moment. All I felt was pity. Pity for someone so broken inside that she could throw away real love for whatever validation she was chasing. All right, I said flatly. That single word stopped her cold. She'd been expecting a fight. Tears. Begging. Anything but calm acceptance. What? She blinked like she hadn't heard me right. I grabbed my pre-packed bag. Yeah, I'd been ready for this. And headed for the door. Where are you going? She demanded, real panic creeping into her voice now. I paused with my hand on the doorknob, not even bothering to turn around. You told me plenty of men would love to have you. I let the words hang for a second before adding, good luck finding one who actually puts up with you. And I walked out. I stayed at Jake's place that night, told him everything. He let me crash on his couch and didn't judge me when I broke down crying at 3 a.m. Real friends show up when everything falls apart, and Jake's a real friend. The next morning, I called the divorce lawyer again and moved up our appointment. I wasn't interested in playing games or dragging things out. I just wanted out. Never thought I'd be 32 and starting over. Never thought the person I trusted most would be the one to destroy everything we built. But here we are. After that, things moved pretty fast. The lawyer I met with was this no-nonsense lady who'd seen it all before. She listened to my story, looked at the evidence I had, screenshots of Emma's location history not matching her stories, the saved Instagram posts, etc., and laid out a plan. I wasn't interested in taking Emma to the cleaners or anything. Just wanted a clean break. No kids, thankfully. No house together, we were still renting. Just some furniture and joint accounts to split up. My lawyer thought I was being too nice, but I told her I just wanted this over with as quickly and cleanly as possible. Emma seemed genuinely shocked when she got served with the divorce papers. I think she expected me to come crawling back, begging for another chance. Instead, I went no contact except through lawyers. Blocked her number, blocked her on social media, told mutual friends I didn't want updates about her. I think that's what really got to her, that I could just walk away. Her whole thing was thinking she had all the power, that she was the prize that everyone wanted. Me leaving without a fight didn't fit her narrative. She started calling from different numbers, showing up at job sites. Even had her mom call me, we always got along well, to try to convince me to at least talk to Emma. I stayed firm, though. The damage was done. The legal process moved pretty quick. I let her keep more of our stuff than I probably should have. Most of the furniture didn't fight over the joint accounts even though I'd put in more. My lawyer thought I was being an idiot, but I just wanted Emma out of my life. Once the divorce was finalized, I did something that surprised even me. I texted her cousin Vanessa. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but hear me out. I wasn't interested in her romantically. I wanted answers. I invited her for coffee, and surprisingly, she agreed to meet. Why'd you do it? I asked once we were sitting down. Why'd you encourage Emma to cheat? To throw away our marriage? Vanessa had the decency to look uncomfortable. I didn't tell her to cheat. I just told her she was settling, that she could do better. Better than a husband who loved her? Who was faithful? Who was building a future with her? Look, she sighed. Emma was always jealous of me, of the attention I got, the freedom I had. When she started asking about my lifestyle, I just showed her, introduced her to some guys, took her to some clubs. What she did with that was her choice. I nodded, taking that in. You know what's funny, Vanessa? I always thought you were the cool one. But sitting here now, I just feel sorry for you. She looked startled. Excuse me? You're so busy collecting attention from guys who don't actually care about you that you've never experienced what real love feels like. So you had to destroy someone else's chance at it. Vanessa's face got all red. That's not… I didn't… It's fine. I cut her off, standing up. I didn't ask you here to argue. I just wanted to understand. And now I do. As I turned to leave, she called after me. Emma's miserable, you know. Those guys she was seeing, none of them want anything serious with her. They just wanted what guys always want. I paused. That's not my problem anymore. But then things got weird. Vanessa started texting me after our coffee meetup. At first with, "How are you doing?" messages, then sending me memes, then getting flirtier. Instead of ignoring her like I planned to, I saw an opportunity. I had an idea. I started responding, playing it cool but interested. We started talking regularly. I knew exactly what she was doing. She saw me as a challenge now. The guy who walked away from her cousin and didn't immediately worship her like every other dude. But what she didn't realize was that I was playing my own game. After a few weeks of texting, I invited Vanessa over to my new place for drinks. She showed up wearing this tight dress. I played my part, complimented her, laughed at her jokes, touched her arm when talking. The next morning, I accidentally left my location sharing on. When I took her to breakfast at this place I knew Emma always went to on Saturdays. Made sure to sit by the window. Sure enough, Emma walked in, saw us together, and froze. The look on her face was, well, exactly what I was hoping for. Confusion, then shock, then this weird mixture of anger and hurt that I'd never seen before. She turned around and practically ran out. Vanessa noticed and got this smug look. Guess Emma's seeing what she lost, she said, clearly enjoying her cousin's pain. I just shrugged like I didn't care, but inside I was thinking, now you know how it feels. Within hours, Emma was blowing up my phone. Dozens of texts ranging from furious, "How could you sleep with my cousin?" to devastated, "Of all people, why her?" to pathetic, "I made a mistake, please talk to me." I didn't respond to any of them. Vanessa and I kept seeing each other for about a month. Nothing serious, just casual dates that I made sure Emma would find out about. I'd pick Vanessa up from work when I knew Emma might see. We'd show up together at places where mutual friends would be. I even posted a few pics of us on Instagram, knowing Emma would see them. Was it petty? Hell yes. After all her talk about how replaceable I was, watching her melt down because I was with her cousin felt like justice. Vanessa thought she was in control the whole time, but really, I was using her exactly how she'd used Emma to destroy our marriage. And honestly, Vanessa was shallow as hell. Couldn't talk about anything except other people's drama or herself. After about a month, when I was sure Emma had fully gotten the message, I ended things with Vanessa. We were at dinner and she was going on about how her Instagram followers had increased since we started hanging out. Look, I interrupted, this isn't working for me anymore. She looked genuinely shocked. What? Why? Things are going great. They're really not. We want different things. Her face hardened. Is this because of Emma? Has she been talking to you? No, I said honestly. This is because you're exactly like her. Shallow, self-centered, and obsessed with what other people think. I needed to see that for myself, and now I have. So thanks for the clarity. The look on her face was priceless. Nobody had ever dumped her before, especially not with the truth. After that, I focused on myself completely. Threw myself into my business, which was growing faster than I could handle sometimes. Started hitting the gym regularly, not to look good for someone else, but because it helped clear my head. Reconnected with old friends I'd lost touch with during my marriage. A few weeks after I dumped Vanessa, I met a gorgeous girl, I'll call her Allison, at a client's housewarming party. She was this stunning redhead who immediately caught my eye, But what really got me was how different she was from Emma and Vanessa. When people talked, she actually listened. She asked real questions and cared about the answers. She laughed at jokes because they were funny, not to get attention. We hit it off right away. Started dating, taking it slow. She was everything Emma wasn't. Confident without being arrogant, independent without being selfish, beautiful without needing constant validation from strangers. From mutual friends who couldn't help gossiping, I heard Emma was struggling. I guess she gowned out that she's not to be killed for, as she thought. The guys she'd been seeing disappeared once they got what they wanted. Her fabulous single life was just a bunch of hangovers and ghostings. She'd even gotten in trouble at work for sleeping with clients. Meanwhile, Vanessa had moved on to some rich older guy and barely talked to Emma anymore. But honestly, I didn't care about either of them. Their drama seemed so small and pointless now. I was too busy building something real with someone who actually deserved my time. And life was actually good for once. Work was taking off. I had an amazing woman who actually respected me. And I was finally feeling like myself again. Then one Friday evening, everything almost got derailed. Allison and I were making dinner together when someone started pounding on the front door. When I opened it, Emma was standing there looking like a mess. Unwashed hair, baggy clothes, puffy eyes. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "How do you even know where I live?" "Jake's wife told me," she mumbled. "Ryan, please, I just need to talk to you." "There's nothing to talk about. You need to leave." I started to close the door. She literally got down on her knees in the doorway. "Please, I'm begging you. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I've lost everything, my job, my friends. Vanessa doesn't even talk to me anymore. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I miss you so much it physically hurts. That's not my problem, Emma." Tears were streaming down her face now. "I know it's not. But please, if what we had ever meant anything to you, just give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes to explain. I've been in therapy. I understand now why I did what I did. I was insecure and stupid and, God, Ryan, I'd do anything to take it back." She was full on sobbing now, still on her knees. It was honestly pathetic and uncomfortable to watch. "Emma, get up. This isn't going to work." Before I could get her to leave, Allison came to the door. There was this weird moment where they just stared at each other. "You must be Emma," Allison said politely. "I'm Allison." Emma ignored her hand. "Who the fuck are you?" "She's my girlfriend," I said. "She lives here." Emma's mouth dropped open. "Lives here? It's been less than a year since our divorce and you've already moved someone in?" "You said I was easily replaceable," I reminded her. Allison went back to the kitchen while I stepped outside to talk to Emma. "I fucked up, Ryan," Emma said, tearing up. "I know that now. I was stupid and selfish. I didn't value what we had. Cool realization, but too late. I never found what I was looking for with those other guys. None of them cared about me. I didn't appreciate your loyalty. Is there a point to this visit?" "I want another chance," she blurted out. "We had 10 years together. That has to mean something." I actually laughed. "Are you serious? You think I want to get back with you?" "With her?" Emma gestured toward the house. "Someone you've known for what? A few weeks? She's the best thing that's happened to me in years." Emma's voice got louder. "We were together for 10 years. You can't just replace a decade-long relationship in a couple of months." "Apparently I can," I said coldly. When Allison came to check on the food, Emma lost it. "So you just move this model into your life and pretend our marriage never happened?" "I'm a landscape architect," Allison corrected calmly. "I don't give a fuck what you are," Emma shouted. "You're nothing but a rebound. He was with me for 10 years. "And you destroyed it," I cut in. "You cheated with multiple guys. You told me any man could replace me. Well, you were wrong. I wasn't the replaceable one. You were." She looked stunned. "You don't mean that." "I do mean it. Those 10 years ended when you decided other men were more important than our marriage." She turned to Allison. "Has he told you everything? About sleeping with my cousin?" "He's told me everything," Allison said simply. "We don't have secrets." I took Allison's hand. "Don't come here again, Emma." As we turned to go inside, Emma started screaming. I closed the door on whatever else she was going to say. Through the door, we could hear her sobbing before she finally drove away. For days after, Emma tried contacting me through different numbers and accounts. I ignored all of it. That chapter of my life was closed. After all that, I proposed to Allison. We're getting married next spring. As for Emma, she moved back to her hometown. Vanessa got engaged to some rich older guy and doesn't talk to Emma anymore. Looking back, I've learned some tough lessons. When your wife starts acting shady, don't make excuses for her. Someone who can be talked into betraying you probably wasn't worth keeping anyway. And being single is way better than being with someone who makes you feel worthless. So thanks for the life lessons, Emma. That's my story, Reddit. If you're going through something similar, hang in there. It gets better. Edit. Thanks for all the responses. To answer common questions. 1. Yes, Allison knows about the Vanessa thing. She said it was understandable, but kinda gross. 2. No, I don't feel bad about how I handled Emma showing up. 3. Emma wasn't always like this. People either change or show their true colors eventually. 4. Haven't heard from Emma directly since. A friend said she's dating someone in her hometown now.